over to the cloud. Where is my, I have got to I got to figure out where my uh, video organization, where the alignment is. I want to do it like this. Let's see. I'm going to go like this. Okay. Enough bandying about. So we're going to talk about customer success, delivering value on a budget. And let's see. So let's tell it. This I think is going to be a little different because I think I burned through. I'm on a different. I usually am on like the 4.0. I think it's a 4.0 mini. This time I'm going to be on just a straight 4.0 because I used up my 4.0 mini usage for today, going in circles with ChatGPT for a little bit before I had to like straighten it out and say no this way. So let's see. Provide some suggested topics and content for the building. See, you guys are getting like bonus material right here. So I'm going to give you like the full little thing. So content for the Building Better developers, aka Developerpreneur podcast, with this title.
Well, you're typing that. Would you be interested in having Kevin on for an interview?
Marketing, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Okay. I talked to him briefly about that today since he just got done doing a podcast series.
Yeah, I've got, there's a couple people I'm sort of lined up. There's part of me that wants to go back into like an interview format for a while. It's just getting people to actually like pull the trigger and say, okay, let's schedule one and do it. And then it was really a pain sometimes to do it because I had to like, yeah, you had to work with a lot of different time zones. Well, I did because I was talking to people in Europe. I was talking to people out in California. I was talking to people all over the place. So it was, that did impact the time zones and some of the times that was available calls. So sometimes I had a call at like, it was fun. Sometimes it'd be 6 a.m. my time and sometimes it'd be 6 a.m. their time, but vice versa. So like one of us is just waking up and the other one is, at the end of their day or something like that. So those are always fun. Let's look real quick. It said, yeah, so it's not getting all super nice and friendly. It did give me 7 big things, including the last one being key takeaways. Okay, so let's go ahead and I got to think of good thing, bad thing, good thing, bad thing, good thing, bad thing. Talked about my kid's car, I think. Oh, but we haven't talked about the totaling. So, hey, I got something I can talk about there that is actually, again, I guess a good and a bad. I got to start this. Let's get my camera set. Get my zoom in the right place. This is why I didn't start drinking too much before the episode started.
Hopefully, it don't get too dark. The light went out in the room I'm in, so.
Yeah, I'm going to try that real quick. I'm going to see if I can get a light on to get a little more. I don't think it's going to do much, and I don't want to. I sort of let me see if I can throw some shades. Problem with shades is that when you do it, sometimes you get like funky. Sun goes into weird places, and suddenly you get light changes and all that. I guess at some point I should like get back to having like a nice little like lighted studio and all that good stuff. Except for I got rid of all that crap so I could be minimalist, and so there's that.
All right, how's this? Can you hear the fan?
Not at all.
Okay, perfect. I moved
but
it.
My hearing sucks. So, can you hear the fan?
Well, I hear it outside of the.
Oh, okay. You can't hear my fan.
No.
Okay, excellent. Muy excelente. Get a little español. Let's count. Tres, dos, uno. Hola, and welcome back to Building Better Developers, the Developreneur podcast. We are back with another episode in our season where we are with AI. We're taking a couple seasons back, taking the topics and literally just running those topics through again, the titles, through AI, see what it gives us, and see what we can learn from what AI does and things like that. There are definitely some things that we've come across that are some I guess, traits of AI. It's interesting that what we're giving it, what we're asking for is not actually specifics. So that's where you get pretty safe. AI can give you recommendations and stuff all day long, and whether it's right or wrong, it's just recommendations. It's different from like code or things like that. But I digress. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Rob Broadhead. I am one of the founders of Developmeneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you work with technology, whether you're a little company or a big company, whatever it is. We are here to help you use technology better through simplification, integration, automation, innovation. We sit down with you, we walk through what your business is, we help you just by talking to us a lot of times, have that conversation about what your business is, what your goals are, and then we sit down and create a technology roadmap, and we can either help you execute on it or not. And the thing that we bring to the table is we've got all this experience, all these different lines of business. So we're going to help you think outside of the box, as well as help you see the box full of goodies that is technology. Yes, it's goodies. It's not a junk drawer. It's not technology sprawl, or maybe it is, depending on where you're at. Good thing and bad thing. So this is again like I've had a rough. Like, it's July, end of July right now, and it has been a rough July. My latest good thing, bad thing that I will throw out there is that talked a little bit about my son had a car accident. We had a lot of issues. We've been traveling a lot. We were back. They ended up totaling his car, which is pretty much a bad thing because he didn't have a car. And so that meant we have to go buy a car, and fairly quickly, because the rental that he has runs out in a small number of days. And he doesn't have a ton of money. Basically, what we've got is not a lot of money from insurance, and so we're using that as the starting point to go buy another car, which means a used car, in this case at least probably 10, 15 years old. Finding a car that age that still works is in itself a little bit fun. We went on a lot. I will give you a quick digression. We went on a car lot where they had a bunch of these things, and one, almost every car that we trusted, the engine light came on immediately, and two, every one of them had listed as is, no returns. And because of the way it was set up, you could not take it for a drive outside of the lot. So you can't take it on the open road. I was like, no, that is hard. No, we're not going to sit there and not actually even test drive a car and that already has lights blinking all over that says, don't buy me, and buy that car. That was a bad thing. The good thing was we found a car that was used. It was actually a little bit, there'd been a guy that loves to just rebuild cars, built one. It was the same model, like 2 years older than my son's car, but actually literally in better shape. It was a better car. So as far as we can tell, knocking on wood or something, some reasonable facsimile of wood right now, we were able to get his car replaced with a little bit better car with almost exactly the amount of money that we got from insurance out of the whole thing. So it was like big win there. Another big win is we are back for another episode, and I get to toss this over to Michael so he can introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Developmeneur, Build Better Developers. I'm also the owner of Envision QA, where we help startups and growing companies build better software, faster with fewer problems. Our services cover software development, quality assurance, test automation, and release support. Similar to what Rob does with assessments, we go into businesses and help you really figure out what it is that you need for software. Companies come to us when they want to avoid delays, reduce bugs, and launch with confidence. Whether you're building your first MVP or scaling a live product, we make sure the software is reliable, efficient, and ready to grow. You can learn more at envisionqa.com. Good thing, bad thing. So, similar situation. I would say about 3 or 4 weeks ago, my wife was mowing, and all of a sudden a belt broke and the mower is dead. We had to tow it down and send it to the shop. They said 3 to 4 days. It's been about 4 weeks. Our grass is so high that we can't even find our 2 smallest dogs. They go out to pee, they go pee on the sidewalk because they don't want to walk into the jungle that it is our yard. Good thing is we did get the mower back. We got that back Monday or Tuesday. But the problem is we're also in the middle of a heat wave. So my wife gets the mower back. It's like, great, I'm going to go mow. 3 hours in, maybe a third of the yard is done, and it is so hot. She's like, nope, I'm done. So get a similar situation, but at least we got a mower and the dogs can now get out to the yard. So lots of good things there.
That is, so I was just talking to somebody yesterday that he works in HVAC systems. He's got a guy that it's very hot right now. He's got a guy that lost his HVAC. They've got to go, it's under warranty. They've got to ship the parts. It's supposed to be 7 to 10 days. I think he said it's now like day 28. And this guy is living in a house that's like 95 degrees inside. It's just like, it's miserable, and it's just, parts are still a pain in the butt. What's not a pain in the butt is our topic. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in because we have already like gone all over the place. So this episode, what we did is we're going back to a prior episode that was called Customer Success, Delivering Value on a Budget. And so this is one that I threw out there, and we're going to dive right in. It was, I've got a slightly different engine than I used last time around, and it gave me slightly different. It did not give me the, that's an awesome topic. It just like goes right into it. Here's some suggested topics and content ideas. Bonus, if you want to go back and check us out on the YouTube channel, if you're not right now, then you can hear what we actually typed in and see, how that goes. What's interesting is I bet if you type it, you will get something different because AI is like that. So episode focus, how developers, product teams, and technical founders can build and maintain customer success programs that truly add value, even with limited time, money, and people. So here's the suggested structure and segments. Introduction, why customer success matters for developers. We should know that, like, gosh, I don't know if we've talked about this one, but we should all agree that. So the bullet points, define customer success versus customer support. Importance in SaaS, software as a service, startups, consulting, and indie projects, how early stage teams can't afford to ignore customer outcomes. And they got a quote, even if you're bootstrapping or solo building, customer success is not optional. It's how you grow sustainably. It is frustrating because this is business 101. And there are a lot of developers that I don't think understand this. I think there's a lot. I've actually run into customers and entrepreneurs that don't understand this, that at some point you have to actually have a customer that will sign a check or hand over cash or send you Bitcoin or something so that you can generate revenue. Businesses consume money. That means businesses have to find money so they have something to eat, or else they die a horrible starvation death. Now, I can see as a developer that there is that, and I'm going to focus on the one that's define customer success versus customer support. Customer success is we're building something to make our customer better. Now, we talk all the time about the why, about what is the problem we're solving. But this gets into a little bit of like, why are we solving that problem? Because if we're just solving it to just solve the problem, that doesn't help them. That's not going to move the ball forward and help them generate money. And otherwise, the goal is that whatever we're solving, it is helping it. And it doesn't mean it directly impacts their revenue or adds to the revenue, but it could be things like it reduces time to produce a product, to provide a service, to get the back office stuff done. What we do at RB Consulting is that kind of stuff where we say, we want to take these things off of your plate that is the working in your business so you can work on your business. Those kinds of things are software and problems and work that you're doing as a developer that is actually helping your customer with, to be more successful. Customer support is really, they're coming to you, they're saying, hey, I've got a problem. I need you to fix it and let's move forward. And usually the fix it is a Band-Aid. It is something along the lines of they're really struggling through things. And every so often they're going to come to you and say, hey, I can't solve this problem. Can you solve it? Sure, I solve this problem. They go back to doing what they're doing. Eventually they're going to come back and they're going to have to deal with you. Ideally, what you want to do is not get into customer support. Yes, there's going to be support on the products you create. But if your model is customer support, then basically you are a cost center. If you are not finding ways to reduce the time, the money, and the effort involved in solving their problems and getting their job done, basically getting their company to work, then you are actually a cost and not essentially, we'll call it an investment. That's where you want to be. If you come in as a developer, if you come in as a consultant, if you come in as a software product, and people look at it as, yes, I'm going to spend, X dollars, I'm going to spend $100, but this is going to help me generate $1,000, then the math becomes really easy. It becomes, how fast can I get that software? That is important. And it's whether you are independent, whether you are doing a side hustle, whether you work for a big organization. Because I guarantee you, as much as everybody will, throw shade at Microsoft, if people didn't find value in their products, they would not exist. There is no such thing as a company that can exist with developers just going, I'm doing all kinds of random stuff, and think that that's going to be, last for very long. Either you're going to get fired or your company is going to tank. And there is a long history of companies that have done that, where they've been along the lines of, we're going to do what we want to do. Screw the customers. They'll come and they'll figure it out, and they'll eventually come and give us money. And you know what? They almost never show up to give you money. If they do, give me a call, because we would love to be a part of that, whatever that happens to be. Thoughts on this?
Oh, there's a lot to unpack with that. So, customer success versus support. Typically,
You're muted.
there we go. Can you hear me now?
We're going to edit that. Yes, I can. We're going to edit that.
So you basically provide a lot of information. So there's a bit to unpack there, but let's go with customer service. With support. Let's start with support. So typically with support, you want to help someone. Someone's coming to you with a problem. You want to help them. You want to solve the problem for them. The trick there is, be careful not to just fall into Band-Aid fixes for the customer. Yes, get them, if they're down, get them back up, but help them find a way to get stable quickly. The faster they can get stable, or you can show them, hey, here is what you need to do to fix this problem long term, and then show them the cost benefit of that. Like, hey, to fix this right now, here, let me give you a real world example of this. I had a customer for a decade. For the first 4 years, I went into this customer's office every weekend, and it took me literally a full weekend to update 3 computers in their office, doing system updates, software updates, putting up the machines, antivirus, all that. 5 years in, they finally replaced their computers. So we went from 3 days to literally 4 hours. The time it cost for me to spend 3 days there was the equivalent of buying a computer. So after 3 quarters of doing this, they could have replaced all 3 computers and gone to a 4-hour window, which was essentially like 1/16 of the time it took to do the maintenance. And this is just general maintenance that you need to do for the machines anyway. So it's like changing the oil in your car. It's something that you have to do, but it's something that shouldn't be that painful and that costly. So when you are helping your customers, supporting them, and if they come to you with a problem, this is where you want to look at customer success. How can you make them be successful on a budget? How can you save them money and still solve their problem and still make money yourself? You have to make money. You are a business, but you want to provide value. Like we talked about, that why. What is that why? So when you're working with the customer, why customer success matters, because if you keep them in business and you keep them happy, they're going to keep coming back to you for help, for support. Now, in an ideal world, hopefully you can solve their problem indefinitely and they won't need to call you again. But, like a car, things do break with computers.
That actually is a good lead into the next point. So I'm just going to dive into it from there. So the next one is the budget challenge. Common myths. Customer success is for big companies. Hidden costs of ignoring customer success: churn, bad reviews, high support loads. Framing customer success as an ROI multiplier, not an expense. And now this is really this goes to what Michael just provided as an example, is particularly when we get into, and this I guess feels a little self-serving, but when we get into things like simplification, automation, and even integration, there's those things, and even innovation, the things that we're looking at, the the tasks that we're doing, the values that we're bringing in, the value we're bringing in is that we're taking something that takes time, takes money, costs resources in some way, form, or fashion, and reducing that. And it sometimes is very, very direct, like what Michael said. It's like you can say it takes 10 hours to do this thing at $1 an hour, so it takes $10, but you can go buy this product for $5 and then go get it done. And now you don't have to, or maybe it only takes an hour. So now it's six, you have an investment, but now you're cutting that down every time. Those kinds of things are going to come back to, that's more of a hard physical product. That's not necessarily customer success, but this is what we need to be looking for. Is the success is not that they bought our product. The success is not that they are using our product. Success is not that they love our product. Customer success is that they use our product, honestly, whether they like it or not, and it is helping their business, that it is reducing the resources required to get things done, or it is allowing them to get to a new area expansion that they weren't able to otherwise. That is why the easy ones, everybody owns. I'll give you a good example. Email. If you build it, like email is so much faster than getting on a phone. It's so much easier than jumping in a plane and going to talk to somebody. Similar to that is what we're on right now is Zoom and video conferencing, because now you don't have to go all these, but you don't have to spend time on the road and all that other stuff. So it makes sense, especially if you're even if you're across town from your team, it probably makes sense to invest in Zoom and not use the free version so you get cut off after 40 minutes. Use something so that you can do it, you can record it, you can actually have a lot of value come out of those meetings. And you can even, people that can't make it, they can even see the meeting. Those kinds of things are investments. But the payback is, maybe it's not a hard payback. It's not somewhere you can say, okay, I just, generated $1,000 more, but sometimes you can. Customer success is about that. As Michael said, we are also a business, so we have to generate revenue. We have to be successful, but I guarantee you, if your customers are successful, you will be successful. If your customers are making money on what you do, then it is an easy math for them to go use you more often. Thoughts on this one?
So I have another kind of hidden cost, but I'm going to start with a different one here. So this one is, budget challenges with your customer. One of the biggest things as software developers, we like to solve problems. We like to build code. We like to automate, like Rob says. We want to simplify. We want to automate. If you are building an application and you or a customer has an application and it comes to you and it takes them 4 clicks to do something that should be done in 1 click, get rid of those 3 clicks and make it a single click. Right there, you probably have saved them about 15 minutes a week just from all the clicking to get to the page loads that they need to get to do their work. Look for things to simplify their tasks, especially if you are building software. Now, I'm going to flip back over to the hidden costs real quick, is from a business perspective. I've done a couple different startups over the years, and one of the biggest things that I am very cheap about is my website costs, hosting costs. And every Black Friday, I will go sign up every year for a new deal with a new vendor, HostGator, Bluehost, whoever. And I will get the cheapest one possible that meets my minimal needs. And I move all my websites over once a year. And I will pay the very minimal cost. AWS, I do come for you once in a while if I have a new email address because you get the free year tier. But if you can eliminate hundreds of dollars and keep your back end and your servers running for the equivalent of about $50 a year, that's a huge cost savings. So look at things that the customer needs and your business needs and revisit them at least once a quarter or at least semi-annually to make sure that you're not overpaying for keeping your business running.
I agree. I think, though, there is it's a guy years ago that said, people would leap over a dollar to gather a dime. And I think that's what sometimes happens is that we get into, and we have to have that mentality of like, sometimes you do need to, you need to buy something a little bit. You're going to get what you pay for. A good example I'm going to use, and this is, people can hate on me or whatever. I used to buy Windows laptops. I would get Dell, Gateway, Toshiba. They were all varying levels of good. The best ones lasted me 18 months, maybe 2 years before they were pretty much, not very useful. They were slow, they were ponderous, they were a pain in the butt to deal with. And so I would go, and this is even after I would wipe the whole machine and rebuild it, and still not terribly fast. So, if they were cheap, 15, at that time, I guess 1,500, 2 grand a pop, something like that. So I'm spending that roughly every other year. Flash forward, and I went into the Mac world. I took a bite out of the apple. Apples were going to cost me double, basically across the board. I'm typically spending 3 to 4 grand for an Apple machine, whether it's a laptop or if I do an iMac or something. Because now granted, I do get high end, but I was getting high end Windows too. Not maybe the top, but I was getting pretty high end machines. Apples last me typically 5 to 6 years. So if I spend $4,000 every 6 years versus, let's say, $1,500 every 2 years, then I'm still $4,500 with Windows machines, not including all of the costs of like having to reinstall all the software, get everything configured again, move everything over. There is a lot that goes there. And I don't want to get this too much into budgety, so I do want to jump into the last question or the last point real quick. Lean tactics for customer success. Some powerful budget-friendly strategies. These are some of the things that I think we need to be thinking about and talking to customers on all the time. And I haven't even looked at them yet, but I'm going to assume that that's where this is going to go. Automated onboarding, videos, walkthroughs, in-app tips. Measure what matters: NPS, churn, feature usage, support logs. Create feedback loops, Slack groups, surveys, founder calls. Build a help hub, facts, FAQs, searchable docs, GitHub discussions. Email is gold. They heard my email thing. Trigger-based life cycle emails, Mail Coach, Postmark, etc., which I'd include like MailChimp, Mailgun, all those kinds of things that are like, if you don't know what a drip campaign is for email, then go like look that up, because if you're in a business, it is very useful to have those kinds of things, particularly how a lot of these tools will allow you to do it. They can be very, very impactful, and they don't necessarily, I mean, people know that it's essentially sort of a form email of some extent, but you can put enough stuff there that it makes it a valuable a form email. That goes back to automated onboarding. Like, if it takes your customers weeks to get started with the product, then there is a problem. Then you need to find ways to speed that up. Now, maybe you have a very complicated product, but if your product isn't like learn how to code in Python or Java or something like that, or learn how to be a financial whiz, it should not take them that long to use the product. If it does, then you probably have a mismatch. And the best way to do that is things like, it's like videos. Like I said, they're so easy to do. We've got those. You can go out to developaneur.com and see tons and tons of videos that are basically walkthrough to get you started on X, whatever X is. We're not magicians. I mean, maybe we are, but no, we're not. You can do that as well. And you don't have to, obviously, you don't have to look good. You don't have to have like incredibly awesome, professional lighting and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, there are people out there that will do this. They'll do the video editing, the audio editing, all that kind of stuff. Don't go to AI; it's going to screw stuff up. But there are people who do that, and it's not too expensive. It's definitely something that's a good investment, because now you don't have to put your people through all this stuff. You can just sit somebody down in front of a computer. They can read, they can watch the video, and you're off and running. I'll throw in feedback. The easiest way for your customers to get back to you is the one that you need to use. And it depends on where they're at. They may be, young and they're on phones. So maybe it's going to be like a DM through whatever an app, it could be through Instagram or Facebook or X or whatever it is. Or it could be email. If it's phone, fine, it's phone. But then make that as automated as you can, get an IVR and things like that. Find ways to make it easy to get feedback from your customers and then act on it. When you get feedback, put it in the hopper, put it in the backlog, and make sure that they feel heard and that they actually see that their suggestions and even their complaints made a difference. Thoughts on that one?
So I'm going to go slightly different. So you talked about quite a few good things. one warning I'll throw out is be careful of the tools you use. Don't spend a little time researching the tools before you go buy them, because once you pick a tool, chances are you're going to spend the time learning that tool, and to switch tools, you're going to have a cost in relearning that, retraining your employees. But things like Jira, Confluence, wikis are a great tool to keep your documents in a place where people can keep them up to date. Now, if you're software developers, look at READMEs, keep things closer to the code, because chances are the wikis will get stale on you fairly quickly. But from a business perspective, having those portals where people can go for, HR material, how to trainings and things like that, get that in a central place and make sure everyone knows where it is. It's easy to access. And hopefully, as you have questions, you're updating the site with those questions, the Q&A that your employees have or your customers have. Because if you don't, you're going to rehash this again and again and again. Use the tools, keep track of the communications that are going on, and post what is useful. And make sure that you give people an answer to a common. Frequently asked questions are probably the number one best tool for use, not with just business, but on the internet. The other thing you mentioned too was like email and Slack. Again, here, pick a communication channel that your team is comfortable with. Spend a little time with each, but don't spend a lot, because once you spend too much time, you're kind of set in your ways, or you've already invested too much time in the tool, and it's going to be hard to pivot. So if you're a Microsoft team, it's probably better to stick with Teams or with Microsoft products. If you're not Microsoft, look at some other tools like Slack, Trello, some other tools that are out there. So kind of stick to your wheelhouse. Don't go too far outside of that. And you'll probably find a tool that fits for you and is very useful and will help streamline your business.
We'll follow it up by saying occasionally go outside of your wheelhouse and just see what's out there, because sometimes you're going to find something that is better. That's actually, like Michael said, he goes through and he tries to do Black Friday deals every year and change stuff around. So that means he's now bounced around on a lot of different providers of that sort, and it allows you to test them out. It allows you to see what's out there every year. Especially, honestly, probably every 6 months, you can see big changes in a lot of the products that are out there. Definitely every year, actually, most likely every year, but I would say definitely every other year, especially that's when you consider like big things like CRMs and things like that. Not if you're ERP, you're screwed. Basically, you're stuck with your ERP. That's just too long a cycle usually. But smaller apps, even including counting stuff, things like that, there are ways to transition. And I'd say probably every 2-3 years, depending on how big your company is, you should be looking at stuff to see if maybe I should do a big platform change. We actually recently have done this. We've stuck on the same product for almost all of the 25 years that RB Consulting has been around. About a year ago, not even a year ago now, about 6 months ago, we tried to do a change, and we're still deciding whether we really like it or not, because we got really used to what we were using before. But we decided, hey, let's try something new and see how that goes for us. I recommend that every so often you do the same. You don't have to bite the bullet. You don't have to burn the lifeboats, as it were, but see what else is out there and see if maybe you should adjust where your wheelhouse is. Now, in this situation, you guys are our customers. And so we are very, very attuned to customer success. We want you to be successful. And you may tell from the title that we're building better developers. So if you are a developer or an entrepreneur and you're getting better at developing, whether it's writing code, creating software, creating products, building your business, because we have that developreneur thing is the entrepreneur side and the developer side. We want you getting better. Our goal is to provide you that. And that means we would love your feedback, including emailing us at info@developreneur.com. You can also check us out on the developreneur.com site. You can leave us feedback there. Wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a review. We would love to hear it, good or bad. Out on YouTube, leave us whatever you want to hear, whatever you want to give us out there. We want to know the good, the bad, recommendation, and we'd love to hear stories. As we talked about in the pre-show here in the green room before we jumped in, we'll call it, we're also interested in doing some interviews and things like that. There's a lot of people that we've got sort of out there that we would like to, sort of on our list. Feel free to contact us if you would like to be on that list. If you'd like to be somebody that we can talk to at some point, do an interview. If you want to see how it goes, it'll be a little different than last time, but you can go look back I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons ago now, where we had like 87 episodes, I think, of interviews. So you can get a good idea for some of the people we've talked to. Not to mention, those are some incredible episodes. We talked to some really good people throughout that. So highly recommend that. More importantly, I recommend that you wrap this up. Actually, I'm going to wrap this up, that you get out there, you have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. Bonus material, because I'm getting all tripped up on my words there. Actually, shoot, this one. I get to
Yeah.
do the words. Okay, so developer tools for customer service on a budget. Sorry, my AirPods are like screwing around on me a little bit here. Okay, so use tools like Laravel Nova or Filament to build admin UIs for tracking customer service data. Simple dashboards with metrics per client or user. Chatbox like Tidio or open source options. Add intercom like features with open source tools like Chatwoot. Use Laravel Horizon, Telescope, or Sentry to fix user pain before it hits support. 5, team collaboration. Everyone owns customer service. Devs aren't just coders, they affect onboarding, UX, and performance. Create a culture of cross-functional feedback, support, dev, sales. Lightweight ways to surface user pain, Slack alerts, Trello cards, etc. If your error logs could talk, they'd tell you what's hurting success the most, is the quote. Case studies and stories: a solo dev who cut churn by 50% by improving onboarding. A small SaaS that added tooltips and saw fewer support tickets. How measuring one metric, time to first value, changed the product roadmap. And then consider inviting some people. There's some final takeaways. The final takeaways: you don't need a big budget. You need intention. Customer success is a product, not a department. Start small, iterate, and tie efforts to clear outcomes, retention, advocacy, fewer tickets. Lots of stuff there. Is there one that you want to jump on for a quick, like, here's our bonus?
Well, I was just going to throw out one more example, real world example. The company you and I both worked at years ago had these billing centers where they had like 22 people in the billing center, and how they would go through the process of taking the order is they had these binders, and every person in the billing center touched the binder. So it would come in, the first person would take the invoice, put it in the binder, pass off the next person, would collect the information, pass off the next person. That costs the company lots of overhead for every employee. You have not just employee salaries, you have costs of the location that you're at, because you have to have a lot of office space for that many people. There's a lot of hidden costs there. All we did was we basically walked through the processes of that binder and created an application to simulate that. And we went from like 6 billing centers of 22 people to, I think, 3 to 6 people running the entire billing of the company. So there could be some very simple ways to look at what you have within your business or your customer's business, look at what can be automated or streamlined, and put that into an application, put that into a dashboard. See if you can put something quick together that basically solves their very painful daily task. And I bet you your customer will be extremely happy.
I didn't even follow that one up. We did challenges, because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. We did challenges a season or two ago, a couple seasons back. And one of the things that we had as a challenge on one of our episodes was we talked about automation, and about, like, every week, just pick something, spend 15 minutes on something, look around at what do you do a lot and find a way to do an automation. I think you can do the same thing with your customers, is take a look at where are the interactions, where are the complaints, maybe look at the log files. What are the errors or warnings that are popping up on a regular basis? And address those. Find a way to do so. It may be that it's going to take a bigger, it's not something you can solve in a couple of minutes, but it may be something that you can start in a couple of minutes, where you say, okay, we're going to have a user story that we're going to address this, or an epic that we're going to address this, or something along those lines. Because I think too often we get into customer success issues and we are too much one way or the other. It's either too much, we're just talking to one customer and we're just solving their problem and getting them happy, and then we rinse and repeat with the next one, or we're doing something and we're really not helping the one customer because we're trying to do this general solution to impact everybody, and it takes forever to get to the general solution. I think that there is probably some middle ground that we can find in most cases. I think that will help you sort of bootstrap it. So you're going to keep your customers happy, but you're also going to be reducing those costs and the investment into keeping them happy and looking towards their success as you move forward. We haven't done near enough of that. That's why I still ask for emails every single episode. As it's like, hey, shoot me an email at info@developaneur.com. You've heard it often enough. So you know what the bonus is? I'm not going to say any more about that. Say no more. Say no more. We are going to wrap this one up. We're not done. We have got plenty of episodes left. AI is, it is inexhaustible. It's going to give us some more ideas, and we'll come back next time and discuss those. So until then, go out there, have yourself a good one. We'll talk to you next time.